Claire's footsteps thudded against the hardwood as she reached for the hallway mirror, her reflection framed by the glow of early morning light, just as my phone buzzed on the coffee table. I glanced down, lifting my mug mid-sip. The metallic tang of stale coffee lingered on my tongue. An unknown number flashed on the screen. I tapped view, and my heart lurched. The photo showed Claire pressing a kiss to Jack Simmons's cheek, her former college classmate, outside the Park Central Hotel's front doors. Last night, 11:34 p.m., the timestamp read. Jack's hand steadied her at the small of her back. Claire's laughter looked carefree, oblivious to everything but him. A low hum of traffic drifted in through our Park Slope apartment window, indifferent to the rupture I saw. I swallowed the bitter coffee, grimacing at how the taste now felt like ash in my mouth. The brass mantel clock on the shelf behind the couch chimed 6, its pendulum swinging a measured beat that mocked my shock. I forced myself to set the mug down, my hand trembling as I wiped a stray drip onto a napkin. She was supposed to be at the book club until 9. My mind spun for answers, mistaken identity. A misdirected message. No, the building behind them looked unmistakable, Park Central's entrance. Claire had said she'd been at home, sorting old yearbooks. I staggered to the couch, Lily's stuffed owl, soft and familiar, resting at my feet. Its button eyes felt like an accusation. I sank onto the cushion, phone still in hand, and replayed the image. Claire's blouse, the exact navy silk I'd bought her last Christmas, Jack's dark jacket catching a street lamp's reflection. My chest tightened. Stay calm, I told myself, inhaling the sharp aroma of coffee grounds mixed with the faint scent of Claire's lavender perfume drifting from her room. I needed proof before accusing her. Accusations without evidence would destroy us. I crossed to the small desk in the corner, brushing past scattered building blocks, Lily's remnants of play. Each click of the mantel clock's pendulum came like a judge's gavel. I opened my laptop and created a new folder labeled Evidence, dragging the photo inside. The screen's light felt harsh, but cold clarity edged out my panic. My gaze flicked back to the hallway. Claire's silhouette was visible in the mirror's reflection as she brushed her hair, unaware of the storm brewing in my apartment. She looked like she always had, confident, radiant, yet everything I thought I knew had shifted. I sat back down, fingertips grazing the brass keys of our shared key ring, searching for reassurance in their heft. The keys jingled, a hollow echo of trust lost. I opened our shared messaging app, thumb hovering over Jack's contact, J. Simmons 89, but saw no recent messages. Claire had silenced him, likely to conceal these texts. With a deep breath, I opened a blank document on my laptop. The mantel clock's pendulum ticked loudly behind me, each swing a reminder that time pressed on. I typed. April 20, 2025, 6:05 a.m., discovered photo of Claire with Jack Simmons entering Park Central Hotel at 11:34 p.m. Need to gather receipts, security footage, and witness accounts before confronting. My fingers paused over the keyboard as a cold wave of resolve washed through me. The betrayal cut deep, but I would not collapse into despair. I had a daughter to protect, and a life to rebuild. The clock chimed again, its steady tick a promise that moving forward, methodically and deliberately, was the only path to justice. With that, I rose, determination setting my shoulders straight. Each step I took would echo the clock's pendulum, measured, unwavering, and resolute. The brass mantel clock's pendulum ticked steadily as I sank into our living room armchair, its unwavering swing a stark contrast to the turmoil roiling in my mind. I closed my eyes and let my thoughts drift back to the day Claire and I first discovered this apartment on Sterling Place, June 15, 2018, when the realtor unlocked the door and sunlight poured across the unfinished hardwood floors. We had stepped inside, eyes bright with possibility, imagining our future, lazy Sunday mornings, Lily's nursery painted soft yellow, and cozy family dinners under Edison bulbs. Claire's laughter echoed off the empty walls as she ran her fingers along the windowsill, and I had felt as though our dreams were finally taking shape. Our courtship had been a tapestry of small joys. I still remember our first date at Localize in July of 2017, waiting an hour for an unreserved table, only to discover that the pizza was worth every minute. Claire's eyes crinkled at the corners as she bit into her slice, the grease glinting on her chin. We shared that pie under the warm glow of hanging lights, voices low as we talked about everything, dreams of travel, the future of our careers, and the day we might raise a family. After dinner, we wandered along the Brooklyn Bridge, hands brushing, the river below shimmering under moonlight. The brass clock in this apartment would someday mark those moments with steady certainty. When Lily arrived on January 2, 2020, our lives shifted in a whirlwind of joy and exhaustion. I'll never forget holding her tiny hand for the first time in the hospital nursery, her breath warm against my palm. Claire was radiant as she whispered, "She's perfect," her tears blurring the edges of the moment. Back home, we spent hours assembling her crib and painting the walls a soft pastel. I installed our brass mantel clock in the living room that spring, its rhythmic tick felt like a reassuring heartbeat echoing through our new life. Saturday mornings became sacred. We'd make blueberry pancakes for Lily's high chair, the fluffy batter sizzling on the griddle, while Claire sipped coffee and hummed lullabies. In the evenings, we'd read stories under the clock's steady gaze, Good Night, Moon and Where the Wild Things Are, while Lily drifted off in my arms. By September 2020, Claire had discovered a local salsa studio, Rio Rhythms, and decided it would be her new hobby. At first, I welcomed it, anything that brought her joy after months of sleepless nights with Lily. I smiled as she twirled in leggings and a red top, her cheeks flushed with excitement. She said it reminded her of college, when she'd been a dance minor. I didn't question her late-night departures. "I'll be home by 10, she promised one Thursday, grabbing her dance bag. I believed her, imagining her stepping into a mirrored studio to practice basic steps. But in October 2020, the first hint of something amiss emerged. I found a Lyft receipt on the kitchen counter, Rio Rhythms, 10:45 p.m., $18.75, dated October 9th. At the time, I assumed she'd lingered for extra practice. When I mentioned it the next morning, she said, "We had an impromptu rehearsal for the showcase, I didn't mean to stay so late." I nodded, though awkwardly, and pushed the receipt into a manila folder labeled Miscellaneous. The clock's pendulum ticked in the hallway, as if urging me to let it go. On November 2, 2020, I noticed a charge of $85 at Dance Elegance Boutique on our joint credit card, date October 31st, for salsa costume fitting. I confronted Claire over dinner, the aroma of roasted chicken and rosemary filling the room. "What's this?" I asked, sliding the receipt across the table. She studied it, then sighed. "It's for the studio showcase, I'm dressing Lily and me in matching outfits." She pressed her hand to Lily's head as our daughter gurgled in her high chair. I swallowed my unease and said, "Sure, anything for the showcase." The mantel clock above the fireplace chimed 7, and I forced a smile. A more subtle clue appeared when a mutual friend, Simone, dropped by unexpectedly on December 14, 2020. She left early, but I overheard Simone's hushed comment as she waved goodbye, "Claire, you know John isn't one to judge, but you two looked very cozy." I turned, puzzled. Claire's face had grown flushed. Simone touched her arm and said, "Promise me you'll be careful." Later that night, I asked Claire what Simone meant. She dismissed it, saying, "Simone saw us rehearsing last minute, that's all." I accepted her explanation, though unease already pricked my senses like a loose thread. In January 2021, the red flags multiplied. One morning, I found Lily's stuffed bear missing from her bed. Beside it lay a small envelope with JS 1992 scrawled on the back. Inside, a typed note, "See you tonight at the Lexington, 10 p.m. Panic surged as I tapped Claire's phone. No such text appeared. I pocketed the note, chalking it up to a prank from her college friends. That same night, I listened for her return. The mantel clock chimed 10, the hallway remained silent past 11. At midnight, I caught the faint hum of a cab's engine outside. When Claire finally opened the door at 12:14 a.m., her hair was damp, the faint smell of cologne on her wrist. "Late studio cleanup," she said tersely. I nodded, but as I walked back to bed, the clock's tick sounded like a warning. By March 2021, I noticed recurring March receipts. March 5th, Park Central Hotel, $152. March 12th, Lexington Hotel, $168. March 18th, Lyft to Park Central, $23.50. Each time I asked, Claire explained, a friend from college was in town, just a catch-up drink. I believed her. Loyalty often blinds us to truth. The clock's pendulum swinging overhead felt like a heartbeat urging me to stay optimistic. Then, on April 10, 2021, everything snapped into focus. I returned from my firm's evening meeting to find Lily asleep, her awl draped across one arm. The coffee table held a sliding keypad covered in magazines. My laptop was missing its mouse. I opened her laptop to check a work message and discovered an unlogged email from JS1992, Jack's new handle. Hands trembling, I opened it. He wrote, "Tonight was unforgettable. Can't wait to see you again." No signature, no context. My gut seized as I flipped to her sent items, "Thinking of you at 6, don't let me down tonight." The realization hammered me. Jack had re-entered her life through Facebook last year, messages had grown personal, and now, hotel rendezvous. The mantel clock chimed 1. I let out a ragged breath. Betrayal had slinked into our home disguised as nostalgia. Every late call, every unexplained receipt, every whispered conversation now rang true. I gathered the printed emails and receipts, tucking them into a folder labeled Proof. Each page delivered another sharp blow, yet alongside the hurt, a flicker of resolution ignited. The clock's pendulum swung on, unwavering. It seemed to say, "Now begins your response." I closed the laptop, standing in the dim glow of the room, determined that cause would not be lost in anguish. Piece by piece, timestamp by timestamp, I would uncover the full truth and protect my daughter's world. The betrayal was real, but so was my resolve. With that, I exhaled, ready to move forward, one deliberate step at a time. The brass mantel clock's pendulum ticked steadily as I sat at my kitchen table that morning, the early spring light filtering through the sheer curtains. My leather-bound journal lay open, lined with Lily's recent entries, each line a testament to her confusion and hurt. I traced my fingertip over the date, April 10, 2021, emails from Jack Simmons reveal hotel rendezvous, then exhaled. There was no time to waste. I needed an unwavering plan. I grabbed my phone and dialed my brother, Marco, first. He picked up on the second ring, his voice warm but curious. "Hey, Dave. Everything okay?" I felt a familiar knot tighten in my chest. "Marco, can you come to my place tonight? I need help organizing everything. I'll catch the 5 p.m. train. Stay strong." I hung up and immediately messaged Marisol Torres, our family counselor. Within minutes, she replied, "I can meet you at Commons Cafe in Union Square at 10 a.m. My chest loosened slightly. This was exactly the support I needed. April 11, 2021, 10 a.m. Commons Cafe's mid-morning bustle enveloped me as I slid into a booth across from Marisol. The aroma of espresso mingled with the soft hum of conversation. I set my printed binders before her, texts and emails, receipts and bank records, and child welfare notes. Marisol scanned each section, lips pressed in a line of concern. "You've documented Claire's correspondences with Jack, her hotel expenses, and Lily's reactions. This is thorough." She tapped the child welfare binder. "These entries, where Lily clings to you, asking, 'Why isn't mommy here?' will be crucial for the court. Judges look for patterns of emotional distress." I flipped to Lily's recent log. April 9 to 1:05 a.m., Lily woke screaming, "Miss Mama." Held her until 1:40 a.m. April 10 to 9:00 p.m., refused bedtime story, whispered, "Mommy's not here," then sobbed. Marisol nodded. "And you have receipts to show Claire's absence was not work-related." I slid her the receipts and bank records binder, coffee date at Lexington Hotel, April 10, 11:34 p.m., $165, and taxi charges to Jack's apartment the same evening. She set the binder aside, exhaling. "You have enough to demonstrate a stable home now fractured by Claire's choices. We'll turn these into an affidavit I'll sign and send to your attorney. Step 1, document Lily's well-being." April 11, 2021, 2 p.m. I arrived at Brennan and Park Legal in Cobble Hill. Priya Chang's office was minimalist, white walls, a sleek desk, and a brass nameplate that glinted in the window light. I handed over my binders, each spine labeled, A, texts and emails, B, receipts, C, security footage, D, child welfare. Priya scanned my materials with a practiced eye. "These messages clearly show an emotional affair. We'll file for legal separation effective today. First, we need to preserve every piece of evidence. Copies of emails, receipts, and any footage." I opened the security footage binder, revealing screenshots labeled Exhibit C, April 10, 11:34 p.m., Claire entering Lexington Hotel, and Exhibit D, April 10, 1:15 a.m., Claire exiting Jack's apartment. Priya blinked at the images. Excellent clarity, she said. We'll request a temporary custody order for Lily. She remains with you while we sort visitation terms. Claire's visits will be supervised until she can demonstrate stability. She tapped her pen thoughtfully. I also recommend filing a financial affidavit. We'll calculate household expenses, Lily's tuition at Little Scholars Academy, currently $1,200 per month, and pediatric and therapy costs. I nodded, flipping through receipts and bank records to a page listing. January-March 2021, $85 at Dance Elegance Boutique, Claire's dance costume fitting, March 5, 2021, Park Central Hotel, $152, April 10, 2021, Lexington Hotel, $165, Lyft charges, April 10, $23.50 to Jack's Apt, April 12, $24.75 to Union Square Hotel. Priya said, we'll draft a proposal for child support, about $1,500 monthly based on her income and expenses. That covers tuition, pediatric visits, roughly $300 per month, and a $600 emotional support fund. She printed a custody proposal outline, and I jotted notes in my own journal. Primary custody, Lily with David at Park Slope home visitation, Sundays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., supervised child support, $1,500 per month from Claire Therapy, weekly sessions with Marisol, funded by the support order. Step 2, secure legal representation and craft a custody plan. April 12, 2021, 9 a.m. At home, Marco had arrived with a carafe of coffee and a stack of empty binders. We transformed my study into a makeshift command center, filing cabinets pushed aside, binders lined in color-coded rows, red for texts and emails, blue for receipts, green for security footage, yellow for child welfare. Marco lifted a small notary stamp from a manila envelope. Let's notarize every affidavit. No challenge can stand if each page is properly sealed. He began embossing A, texts and emails, then B, receipts and bank records. The press of brass on paper felt final, turning scattered clues into solid proof. I moved to my laptop, connecting the SD card labeled April 10th evidence. The first image was Claire's silhouette entering Hotel Lexington at 11:34 p.m. I screenshot and saved it as Exhibit C1, then played the clip to capture her exit at 1:15 a.m., labeling it Exhibit D1. Each file was copied twice, one for Priya, one for backup. In between, I opened my journal to refine my narrative. April 11th, met with Marisol, prepared child welfare affidavit. April 11th, met with Priya, outlined separation petition and custody terms. April 12th, installed hallway cameras and labeled exhibits. April 13th, notarized all affidavits. I paused as the brass mantel clock's pendulum ticked in my mind, its measured rhythm a reminder that progress, even incremental, was still progress. Step 3, organize and notarize evidence. April 13, 2021, 8 p.m. Marisol joined me for a video session. I shared Lily's most recent entries. April 13 to 10:30 p.m., Lily woke, whispered, "Mama," then cried. April 14 to 7 a.m., Lily refused breakfast, clung to me, said, "Mommy not here." Marisol nodded, typing into her own file. These notes are vital. I'll draft my final affidavit and send it to Priya. Her voice was both gentle and firm. We'll show the court how Emma's world is fractured. I paused, correcting myself. Lily, I reminded myself silently. I exhaled and closed the laptop. The real work was done, now, it was about presentation. Step 4, finalize affidavits and prepare for filing. April 14, 2021, 7 p.m. Lily's bedroom was a sanctuary amid chaos. I tucked her in, reading Good Night, Moon as the brass mantel clock chimed 7 in my mind. She yawned, her eyelids heavy. I kissed her forehead. Tomorrow, sweetheart, Daddy will fix everything. Back at my study desk, I opened Priya's draft of the separation petition. It began. In the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Kings. Petitioner, David Taylor. Respondent, Claire Taylor. Grounds, irreconcilable differences, adultery. Relief sought, legal separation, primary residential custody of minor child, child support, and equitable distribution of marital assets. I refined the custody proposal section, ensuring each stipulation prioritized Lily's stability. Primary residential custody, David's address, 129 Sterling Place, Brooklyn, New York 11217. Visitation, Claire allowed supervised visits Sundays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., at Marisol's office. Child support, $1,500 per month, directed to Little Scholars Academy, Brooklyn Children's Clinic, and Marisol's Therapy Fund. Therapy, mandatory weekly sessions for Lily through age 7. I inserted references to Exhibit A, the April 10 text to Jack, Exhibit B, hotel receipts, Exhibit C, security stills, and Exhibit D, Lily's welfare affidavits. Finally, I saved the document as separation petition April 14 final.docs and emailed it to Priya with the subject line, ready for review, urgent. As the brass mantle clock's pendulum ticked in my mind, I closed my journal. Betrayal had fractured the family I loved, but through deliberate, measured actions, gathering evidence, consulting counsel, safeguarding Lily's welfare, I was forging a path forward. The clock's steady rhythm felt like a heartbeat of resilience, each swing confirming that although the past could not be undone, the future remained mine to reclaim, one resolute step at a time. On May 1, 2021, I walked into Priya Chang's Cobble Hill office, the morning sun glinting off her brass nameplate. Inside, the leather-topped desk was immaculate, its surface reflecting the soft tick of the brass mantle clock on the shelf behind her. Claire stood just inside the doorway, shoulders tense, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. I felt my pulse steady as I carried the thick binder labeled, Evidence, Separation Petition, to Priya's desk and set it down with deliberate care. Priya regarded Claire with professional calm. "Claire, please have a seat," she said, gesturing to the chair. The brass clock's pendulum ticked in the background, each swing underlining the gravity of this moment. Claire's gaze flicked to the clock, as though seeking refuge in its steady rhythm. Priya opened the binder to the first page, Exhibit A, a screenshot of Claire's April 17 text to Jack. "Can't wait to see you again tonight." Beneath, Jack's reply, Room 502, Lexington Hotel. 11 p.m. Claire's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes glistened with tears as she traced the words. Priya continued, flipping to Exhibit B, two printed stills from April 10 security footage, Claire's silhouette entering the Lexington Hotel lobby at 11:34 p.m., followed by an image at 2:14 a.m. of Jack's arm around her waist in the dim corridor. Claire's color drained as she recognized the scenes. I spoke quietly, each word measured and firm. "I found a $165 charge at the Lexington Hotel on April 10. Then a lift to Jack's apartment at 11:45 p.m. I slid Exhibit C, bank statements showing those charges, across the desk. Claire's breath hitched, she stared at the table as though the truth were physical pain. Priya nodded. "We also have Exhibit D, Lily's welfare affidavits. Note her regression, night terrors, her whispering 'Mommy's gone' at 1:05 a.m. She closed the binder and faced Claire. "The court will see how Emma, Lily, has suffered. Stable routines disrupted, emotional harm inflicted." Claire's voice trembled. I never meant for this to happen. He just appeared, old memories." Her eyes flicked to me, as though seeking forgiveness in my gaze. I remained seated, arms folded. My tone was controlled, devoid of anger but heavy with resolve. "You invited your former classmate into our home, into our child's life. You shattered Emma's trust and mine." I leaned forward and picked up the small brass key I'd placed on the desk earlier, the spare key to the Lexington Hotel taped under our coffee table. Its gleaming brass reflected the morning light. I set it beside a folded wedding photo, our May 12, 2019 ceremony beneath cherry blossoms. "This key opened our home," I said, voice steady. "Now it opens the door to your betrayals." I pressed the wedding photo face down. Priya exchanged a look with me, then addressed Claire. "Given these facts, we will file the separation petition today. The court will grant temporary primary custody to David. Claire's visits will be supervised. Child support terms are ready, $1,500 monthly, effective immediately." She slid the custody proposal across the desk. Claire bowed her head, tears falling. She whispered, "I'm sorry." I felt no satisfaction in her sorrow, only the weight of finality. I rose and buttoned my jacket. My voice was quiet but resolute. "Goodbye, Claire. I met her eyes one last time, then stepped toward the door. As I walked into the bright May 1st afternoon, the brass mantel clock's pendulum seemed to echo in my chest, its unwavering swing a testament that the chapter of betrayal had closed. Each tick reminded me that though the past could never be undone, I had taken control of the narrative. With Emma's future in mind, I would rebuild our lives, one deliberate, measured beat at a time. 2 weeks later, May 15, 2021, I sat in Brooklyn family court as Judge Alvarez signed the final divorce decree. Claire relinquished our Park Slope brownstone and agreed to supervised visits for Lily, 6, each Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., contingent on completing counseling and maintaining stable housing. I received primary residential custody. A support order required Claire's monthly payment of $1,500, covering Lily's tuition at Little Scholars Academy, pediatric visits at Brooklyn Children's Clinic, and a $600 emotional support fund. Each clause felt like a fresh plank in reconstructing Lily's world. That evening, I returned to our now quiet apartment and packed Claire's old yearbooks and her tablet into a donation box at the door. I hung a new framed photo above the mantel, Lily's kindergarten graduation on May 10, 2021, her grin wide as she held her diploma in pink cap and gown. The brass mantel clock, once a witness to our happiest moments, now stood beside the photo, its pendulum swinging a steady promise of routine. Over the next 2 weeks, late May 2021, I re-established a nurturing schedule. Mornings began with whole grain cereal and Good Night Moon read aloud before walking Lily to Little Scholars by 8 a.m. Afternoons meant play dates at Prospect Park's playground, Lily's laughter mingling with carousel music. Evenings were devoted to bedtime rituals, warm baths, brushing teeth, and holding the brass clock in Lily's hand as I whispered, "Daddy's here," until her eyelids closed. Each ritual wove back the trust and security Claire's betrayal had torn apart. I also reconnected with my own passions. On May 20th, I dusted off my grandfather's woodworking tools in the garage, sanding a piece of oak into a small jewelry box for Lily's school awards. The rasp of sandpaper echoed the clock's pendulum, a reminder that healing, like craftsmanship, requires patience and care. Sunday mornings, Marco and I resumed our hikes in the Hudson Highlands, swapping stories beneath budding chestnut trees. Each step elevated my spirits, reminding me that life moved forward. Marisol continued Lily's counseling through play therapy. Lily's night terrors faded, she began drawing sunshine and hearts instead of scribbled storms. Her smiles returned, chasing ducks at Brooklyn Bridge Park and savoring frozen yogurt from Ample Hills on May 28th. Each bright laugh felt like evidence of her resilience. On May 30, 2021, after tucking Lily into bed, I opened my laptop and drafted my first blog post for From Betrayal to Balance. I wrote about how calm, systematic action preserved Lily's stability and restored my own sense of agency. By midnight, I clicked publish, and supportive messages poured in. "Your story gave me strength, thank you for showing how to rebuild." I outlined future posts, co-parenting with compassion, finding solitude as strength, and mentoring others through heartache. On May 31, 2021, Lily and I picnicked at Brooklyn Bridge Park. She skipped among daisies, clutching her stuffed owl, while I watched Manhattan's skyline glow at dusk. I checked the brass mantel clock, it's ticking a promise that every moment matters. In Lily's laughter, I rediscovered my purpose. Trust may fracture, but resilience can forge a brighter future.